Yeah, Tuesday. What's up, everybody? Tuesday morning. Hope everybody's having an amazing day. Welcome to the day's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson, back in the proverbial saddle again. I took a couple of days off, enjoyed some time with the family. Thank you, Corey Lane, for filling in for me yesterday in the DMC. But you know what's funny is that I took a few days off, and the market has done, a whole lot of nothing since we last spoke. I think our last DMC was on Wednesday. So let's go ahead and get into it this morning. For those of you that are new to the channel, do me a favor, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get the alerts and the updates, all those fun things as they happen. If you're a regular viewer, hit that thumbs up icon. It means a lot. The algorithms then know that human beings are actually paying attention and watching. So great to have you with us today. Let me go ahead and shrink my face, and we can go ahead and get rolling. Corey does do all-day DMCs. I do love Corey, but Corey's got he can tell some stories. That's my boy. He's got some length to his wind. Let's put it that way. All right, let's go ahead and get rolling this morning. We did have our breakout on Friday. Got a little run on our breakout move on Friday off this breakout line. But interestingly enough, no surprise. We say this about the S&P. Typically, when the S&P does a breakout, it to an all-time high, it pulls back soon after. That is not a surprise. So I am not shocked that we're getting a pullback. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see us pull back even a bit more, because if we go back and look, and for those of you that have been regular viewers, you know that even when we were looking last year and the S&P kept setting all-time highs, the S&P is very well versed with, I set an all-time high, I give you a big pullback. I set an all-time high, I give you a pullback. And it's not always a humongous pullback, but I think it's a profit-taking pullback in most senses. So if we pull back, where's our area that we need to look for? Well, on our 15-minute chart, if I go back, on our 15-minute chart, we have this area down here, which I actually think is a really nice, clean level. It's formed at a pit close, and I'm going to turn the colors here, 36.15 by 36.11. I think that's the ideal area. Now, I will say the fact that we've broken down below some of these levels, if you are a bit more aggressive, now reminding you that our 4-hour trend is still up, but if you're a bit more aggressive and you want to give a shot to a smaller time frame entry on a short, I think you might actually have something right through here. I think this actually may give you a smaller time frame entry for a short today as price, if we look up into here. So I'm going to actually highlight this a little bit as a potential short. Looks cleaner on the 15-minute chart than it does on the 1 hour. And the other thing that I like about it is, it's not our favorite time of day, but it's not a terrible time of day either. And we had this big move down, and we were unable to get back to that short. And so I still think that could have some validity in there. NASDAQ, very similar picture to the S&P, although probably a little bit more strength. I'm going to put a breakout line above our high here. So if we get some basing there, we've got a little bit of a breakout line above the high. I don't like the short on the NASDAQ as much as I do on the S&P. Although it could follow suit, I don't have as clean of an entry on the NASDAQ as I do on the S&P. I'd have to go significantly higher, and then that level up there gets me a lot closer to the all-time high. So I'm not a big fan of that one. Going back, Nathaniel's pointing out the wick over wick above. You are correct, Nathaniel. There is a very small wick over wick right here that's less than a point. So that is also a potential if you are so inclined. If you are so inclined, that's also a potential entry up in there. I like this one here as a clean pivot pretty well, although the wick over wick is also a very good level. So if you want to be a little bit more conservative, you can take, now remember, we're still in an uptrend, so both of these should all technically be confirmation entries. You could take them as confirmation entries as well. All right. Looking down now below us in the in the NASDAQ, you do have a decent little level here in the NASDAQ where I think we could see a potential bullish reversal if price gets down to there. I want to look over to the left of that and see if that is a retest of an area to its left. It's a little bit of a retest of this area here, but it's fairly clean with a rally-based rally above. You might even get in a little earlier than that. So, the NASDAQ, if I'm looking bullish, it's got a decent little reversal point right in there. Worth paying attention to. Looking over to the Russell. So the Russell on the breakout, as far as our breakout levels on Friday, actually gave us a really nice clean breakout. I'm not sure if any of you were able to grab that one and take advantage of that little move. That's where I would look for the retest today, would be back into this region here. If I go to a smaller time frame and we look at it on a 15-minute chart, it's fairly clean right in through here. So that would be our Russell level. I think the one that makes the most sense because that's the origin of the breakout move. So those are our equity market levels. If I take a quick look at the Dow, we also had the breakout, but it kind of popped above and then just chopped around. Also coming down. The Dow's not really got anything quite as clean, so I'm going to leave the Dow be. You do have a nice reversal right here. Same thing as the S&P with the wick over wick as well as the pivot. Both of those are in place. Remember to switch this to purple. All right. So any questions on equities before I move off of our equity markets for the day? I think that Santa Claus is coming to town here soon, but I think that we've got a couple of decent levels that are worth considering in our equity markets, but nothing that is so amazing that I feel the need to leap up and down. Right? It's nothing that's so great that makes me want to jump for joy at the sign of the levels. Yeah, even round number at 30,000, I would agree with that, Dennis. That's actually a really interesting point. And round numbers are always going to have some significance to them, right? There's always going to be some significance to a whole round number, just by the fact that people are going to buy and sell at whole round numbers. All right. So let's move over to our commodity markets, energies and metals. And I'm going to make sure that I hold us to 30 minutes today. So we will. I will probably skip over a couple of markets that don't look like there's a whole heck of a lot going on. All right. So looking at our oil markets, starting with the oil markets, and I will tell you, I haven't even opened the market since Thursday morning. Thursday morning when I did the live room, I shut it off afterwards and haven't opened it since. So a lot of these lines are probably over a week old. So give me just a moment to start from fresh. Although some interesting moves off of this line of control that we kind of have there. If you look at this area here, this area has kind of become a line of control as we've bounced around through there a number of times. And that typically means that it's a price magnet for price to return back to that level. So what I'll be interested to see, I don't have a whole lot to add to my charts today, really just off of the quick glance. But I would like to see if we fall from here, does this become an area of supply in the future? Because this is a bit of a control area, and I'm just gonna draw a box around where that control area is. This area here is the area that I would consider the control area. Price continues to come back to this kind of this region of price, and so as long as we continue to come back to that region of price, that's where we'll see that price is giving us the most obvious move. So I'm going to put a supply level up here. I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to make it up to there. I think we're going to fall from here and then get a reversal back to the control area and then probably fall again. On the grand scheme of things, what is our 4-hour chart telling us to do? Somebody give me some insight. What is our 4-hour chart really telling us to do? Because when I look at this, there's not really a clear buy signal. There's not really a clear sell signal. What it's telling us to do is to stay home, right? It's telling us to nothing to see here, move along away from this market. And that's what we're going to do in this case. Next would be gold. So gold, we had this potential breakout on Thursday. We just chopped around it for a while. Nothing really excellent came from it. We came close to our area of demand, so that would need to switch to a confirmation entry. It's still valid. It just has to be a confirmation entry. And then in our 4-hour uptrend, we came into our next level of supply, and so it's a confirmation short and blew right through before giving you a confirmation for an entry. However, that level could act as a support line as price will rally higher from here. If we don't rally higher, my mind immediately goes to this wick over wick right here. Typically, speed candles tend to get retraced, and this being a speed candle looking for a retracement, I think that is a very clean level. If that retracement begins, it will probably begin with some sort of a breakdown, and the breakdown would have to come below here. So look for a potential basing here, followed by a breakdown. Now, without the basing, we have no breakdown. Keep that in mind. Without basing, we have no clear breakdown. We'd need to look for a reversal, and then for price to come into our demand area for price to move higher. Okay. Next would be natural gas. Nat gas. Unfortunately, on Sunday night, I was not around to take a clear look at it on Sunday evening. Did anybody trade, just because I wasn't in the live room Sunday night, did anybody trade the gap and go on Sunday night in nat gas? Because that looks like it was good for a couple of points all the way to Monday morning, before then reversing and coming back up. And frankly, still hasn't come above where your stop would be in that gap and go trade. So good, Trent. Take a little bit of coin off the table in that one here soon, if you haven't taken it already. We don't see typically these gap fill levels be super effective. And so I think you're actually still better off on a breakdown below this area here, provided some basing. 6 candle rule got you out. Okay. Yeah, so 6 candle rule, if you took it, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, somewhere right down in here, because your entry on a gap and go wouldn't have been until this red candle right here at like 1 a.m. So that would be the gap and go entry. So nice. All right. So now I think you could have a breakdown below this 2389. If I look at the 15-minute chart and I'm identifying a 15-minute chart here, none of these levels here are super clean, so I'm just going to let that be on a potential on a breakdown. Copper as well. We had talked about copper. It's kind of in a control area right through here. But my 4-hour, I don't even need to look at my 4-hour for me to know that it's telling me, hey, listen, stay away from this thing. It's probably rolling over and about to come back down, but it's not giving me an entry signal as of yet for me to take advantage of that move. Okay, let me throw this one in the grid. All right, ags, and we haven't looked at these in a couple of days, so bear with me on this. We had nothing close to us in soy, although a really nice tweezer. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. So look at this tweezer top right here. I love this. Not quite a perfect tweezer top, but pretty damn close. Nice upper wicks right through here, followed by this drop, and then we have a really clean wick over wick before a very strong candlestick move away. That's a sneaky good level right there. Sneaky good supply level up there, that I really, really like. And it's, our 4-hour trend technically still down, although it's gone a bit sideways here a little whiles. I'd be very, very comfortable with a short in that level, especially with that level, that region being as weak, as small as it is, very thin level. Next would be our corn setup. So looking at corn, I originally had a breakout above here, Now it looks more like a breakdown below here, right? Touch it once, basically came really close to it touching it twice. So look for a potential breakdown below here. And we're seeing very similar to what I just looked at in copper. Prices are giving us a rollover effect, right? Markets don't typically come straight down. There's typically a little bit of sideways before price rolls over and comes back down. So this looks to me like it's rolling over a little bit. Wheat, we had a breakdown set up through here. We got a little bit of basing and then broke. Now, in looking at it, I would question if we're going to get a retest of this area here. If we do, we're in a downtrend, so that could be a decent little entry. Even on if you want to be a bit more conservative, you could take it right here on just the 15-minute chart and shrink it down a bit. And then taking a look at bean oil, we had based in front of the level before then popping through the level. No big surprise when you get basing in front of the level that we pop right through it, thus canceling the probability of that trade working. Although then old supply acted as new demand, got a nice big bounce out of it. I'm going to leave the lines here. I'm just going to move them to right here because it's the same basic level. It's just been a line of control and a fair price value area. All right, let me share this one here real quick. All right, next, let's move over to bonds and currencies. So looking here at our ZN trade, going back a ways, we had talked about this potential as a breakout. We did get a little break, and then it just kind of sideways for a while. So really not a whole lot to give there. And then I think that the supply level that exists up here is still probably the best trade. So there's nothing really to add on the ZN. The ZB, same thing, very similar picture. The supply level up here is still the best one. 4-hour trend is still down. All right, 4-hour trend is still down. And so with further talk of more economic stimulus, I'll be interested to see what happens with this. But that further talk of more economic stimulus and in the U.S. is also having an impact on the currencies. And so starting with the euro, here's our euro level that we identified last week. Looks like price hit that very well, and then we got a nice little move away for about a 3-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1 move away, although now it's really starting to stall out. So since it's really starting to stall out, I would look for this now to become a potential for a breakdown, right? A good area of demand oftentimes becomes a really good spot for a breakdown. And if that breakdown goes through, then I think you've got price moving to the next one. Yeah, we'll see what happens, Dennis. I don't know. I'm not trying to prognosticate what's going to happen. I think that we could have another dip recession. But in the meantime, I'm just going to trade what the market gives me. And the market's given us some decent moves, right? That's what I'm going to look at. All right. So a little bit of sideways right in here before a potential breakout in Canadian dollar. If it comes down and follows what the euro is doing, there is some demand down here as well to pay attention to. But it's a little bit obvious, and we spend a little bit of time in there. So I'm not going to look to take a long in that zone. Okay. And then let's take a look at bonds and currencies numero dos. So the New Zealand dollar, I got all kind of lines on this one. We'd had a confirmation long. Price did come in, give us a test, move away. The second time into the level, it broke right through it like the proverbial knife through butter. Our other demand level, price bounced off of that zone, poked a little bit below it, depending on where your stop loss was. May or may not have been in that, but now I need to remove it, right? Because all that's gone by the wayside. And let's go to a 4-hour. 4-hour. On our 4-hour trend, still up, giving us quite the roll, isn't it? A little bit of a rollover we're getting in our off of our 4-hour time period. So technically our 4-hour is still up, but showing signs of weakness. I just want to take the day off of this stock, or this currency pair. I just don't see that this currency pair gives me a whole lot of great options today. Maybe we will after we get some movement out of this sideways range. I mean, we could get a breakdown set up. It's just not there as of yet. The Great British Pound. We had this level of demand right here. Price came close to it, moved away. We came close to it again, moved away. So if we come close to it, we know that it has to switch to a confirmation entry. Well, price blew right through it. And then this is a great example of old demand becoming new supply. Old support becoming new resistance as price comes back into that level, and then we get the strong move away. Now, on that move down, we broke through what was a potential breakdown line without any basing, and then we came to a demand area, which was this teeny little tiny one where your stop technically should be down below here, and so you had enough room in that position. If you took the long, you got a decent run out of that level. Now it's yuck. I mean, I'd love to give you a better descriptor other than the word yuck, but that's all I got at this moment. So, yeah, there's just nothing here that I'm a big fan of. I'm just gonna let this one be as well. I mean, I don't want you guys to feel like I'm wimping out of trades, but I just don't see a great opportunity in this one. Let's see. I haven't checked the comments in a little bit. Amit breakdown at 6995. You talking on the New Zealand dollar? Yeah, we could see a breakdown there. I mean, we've got one clean touch. It was an old area of resistance. So that could act as a breakdown, provided that I get quality basing. My bigger fear is the area of demand down below. And that's was the big reason why I didn't even really look at that. The demand down below is actually pretty clean demand, and my room to roam I don't know that it would be there. Dennis, I agree. Nobody wants to see anybody get kicked out of their homes, and so there's going to be some sort of a stimulus bill, or maybe they'll do another moratorium on. Wasn't a moratorium on evictions? So, I'm not sure. I know there was evictions, but I'm not sure if it was foreclosures or not. Japanese yen. So our confirmation short in the Japanese yen worked out extremely well. Very nice, strong move away from that level. If I look at the 4-hour on this now, very sideways, right? Just, I do have probably an area of demand down here that when I move to the 1-hour looks fairly clean. Right through here, nice move away. This one here worked for a nice little return, so I guess we've got one little area there. And then last but not least is the Australian dollar. Look at this. How about getting nicked by a tick in that one as price came down into the area of demand and then dicked you out by a tick and then boom, immediately moved. So, yeah, no, I agree, Dennis. I mean, what's funny. My brother-in-law he's a real estate developer, a real estate investor, and he's got a number of rental properties, and he said the same thing. He said, what he found is that he saw tenants leaving and coming in because they were able to because they didn't pay their rent for a few months with him, but then they went to a new place and paid their rent with somebody else. Well, then those people who didn't pay with somebody else moved in and paid with him, and so it was a circle. You're right. They can't put it all on the landlords because eventually someone's going to have to pay the piper. So I'm not sure. Oh, VCast eviction order expires 12/31 and past rent becomes due. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that's regional though, Vince. I'm not sure exactly where it is everywhere. Yeah. It's tough when you're cash flow negative to start with in those positions. 4-hour chart. Ugh. Not a whole lot of prettiness here either on this one. So when I move to the 1 hour, we do have this area of demand after this monumental move up, but I don't think it's going to be as clean on the 1 hour as it will be on the 15-minute. So I'd have to look on the 15-minute, probably this area right here. All right. So those are our levels. Let me share this grid. Oops, of course I hit the wrong button. Instead of the share grid, I hit on demand. All right. So let me go ahead and put this one in. So those are our levels for today. Any questions before I pop out? Anything in particular anybody wants to take a quick look at before we pop out for the morning? Speak now or forever hold your peace. We had looked at Apple a while ago. We kind of popped above here, so it's got room to go, plenty of room to go. So just keep that one in mind. I like that one a lot. So already they're in the supply zone areas. Well, if you once again remember that it is confirmation entries, and we are going counter trend, but it is definitely a setup for those of you that are a bit more aggressive and want to give that one a go. So if you're a bit more aggressive, you want to give that a go, we're in that zone, so you can take that in there. So all right, well, that's all I have for today, everybody. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I appreciate you, by the way, so much. Thanks for coming in today. Do me a favor, make sure that you hit the share button down at the bottom and share our daily market commentary with your social media groups, your WhatsApp groups, your Discord groups, whatever it is. I'd be good to have you all sharing out. Share the love, as they say, and I will talk to you all soon. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.